I just want to mention something that is completely not related to Boruto. It's the 13th of September, meaning that Tupac died on this day 22 years ago. And this man was one of the greatest rappers of all time. He still is, obviously. And not only that, but he was also a legend, a man with a huge heart. And I just want to honor Tupac for a bit. If you don't know about him, do some research about him. But yeah, rest in peace, Tupac. What's up, everybody? It's your boy Hokage here. Welcome to the video. Today we're gonna talk about Boruto episode 73, I believe. And my goodness, what an episode! I mean, the Mitsuki arc is shaping up to be one of the best arcs in all of Boruto, slowly but surely. And with that said, I'm really enjoying this arc so far, and I really like the pacing, especially in the last two episodes. But anyway, with that said, let's get into the episode review. When you realize that Boruto and Sarada might fucking meet the White Snake Sage in the Ryauchi cave, like, yo, I'm literally fanboying. Now, I've said this multiple times throughout the past couple of months, I believe, and I will say once again, Orochimaru deserves a separate video, and I think that this episode literally gave me a slap and said, yo, what are you doing? Make a fucking video, which I will do in the near future, because some of the things that were mentioned in this episode completely blew me away. But before I get into some of those things, let's quickly analyze this episode from the first minute, basically. Anyway, of course, at the end of the last episode, we saw that, Boruto and Sarada left the village because, they want to find Mitsuki. At the start, you just see them searching for Mitsuki, nothing too special. The opening kicks in, and in the near future, we're getting a new opening, by the way, which I really can't wait to see it, because I'm not the biggest fan of this opening. Anyway, they're looking for Mitsuki, right? And it begs the question, where is Mitsuki? Obviously, we saw those bandits or whatever, I don't know how to call them, who were, they were pretty much the ones who, I guess, persuaded Mitsuki to leave. I wonder if they have something to do with Urashiki, because like when we saw that sand, in Mitsuki's room, I mentioned that in my episode review, how Urashiki was fighting against Gaara, and he stole some sand from Gaara, right? And we all know that Urashiki and Mitsuki had some interesting interactions, and obviously during the versus Momoshiki arc, during the Chunin exams and stuff like that. So yeah, obviously I don't think it's directly Urashiki. I mean, obviously it isn't, right? It's these bandits, but I wonder if they're somehow connected to Urashiki or something like that. Because if you guys remember, and I used to, to mention this regularly when Urashiki was on screen, Urashiki knows a lot about the ninja world. He must have some comrades slash allies in the shinobi world, because yes, I think it was, stated that it was either him or, like, I don't know, some members of the Tsuki clan, it was mentioned that he was looking at the earth, right? That's how he was gathering information, right? And by looking, I don't mean directly, I don't know, standing in his dimension and looking at the planet, because he wouldn't know all of this, right? So the fact that he was looking at the earth definitely means that he had some contact with some people in the past. At least that's how I see it. And maybe it's these people. These guys seem like they're strong. I don't know what their motives are. Hopefully they're going to be good villains with good motives or whatever. But yeah, as I said, I really wonder if Urashiki is involved. And if you think about it, Mitsuki is having this inner struggle where he doesn't know if his will is his will or not, basically, because throughout his life he's been putting so much focus on Boruto, because during the entire log Orochimaru incident, when he stole that scroll, he saw Boruto's photograph, and he was like, okay, I want to focus on this, maybe he's my son, right? And as he's questioning all of this, and as he realized that his will was to leave the village, I wonder what's going through his head. Because if you think about it, throughout the Boruto series, Mitsuki never really showed any signs of having dreams or whatever. So what is he trying to achieve? He's not with Logan and Orochimaru. He left Boruto and the others. What is he doing? That's the main factor that makes me believe that these villains might be somewhat deep or like very relevant to the story. Because Mitsuki is not the type of character that's just gonna randomly leave the village just so that he would leave the village. That doesn't make sense. That just doesn't happen. When Sasuke left the village, he did it because he was searching for power. He wanted to kill Itachi. We all know that. So I wonder, what did these guys say to Mitsuki in order to persuade him to leave the village? Or maybe this is not a theory, but it's just a small prediction. Maybe Mitsuki is trying to test to see, like, maybe he's testing Boruto and his friends. Like, maybe he wants to see, like, are they gonna come after me? Do they really consider me as a friend or whatever? I don't really know. It's just predictions at this point. But yeah, there's just so many questions about Mitsuki. Not only because of this episode, but because of this arc so far. We saw Captain Yamato in this episode. It was really nostalgic seeing him. Now, don't quote me on this one, but I feel like this was the first time we saw him. I could be wrong. I don't remember if we saw him during the Sarda arc or whatever you want to call it. Maybe we saw him for a bit. But anyway, it was really nostalgic seeing him. I just remember, like, at the end of Naruto Shippuden, when a couple of novels were being adapted into the anime, there were so many gag moments with Orochimaru and Yamato. I think that I thought that was hilarious. I remember because I started reviewing Naruto Shippuden during the end phase of the series, and that's something that I really enjoyed back then. But anyway, apart from Yamato, being suspicious of Orochimaru, we see a lot of these interactions between Kakashi, Tsunade, and Naruto, the fucking elders. I don't know their names. Some of the most annoying characters in all of Naruto. Now the thing is, I'm not saying that they're annoying to me just because they're doing annoying things like they're doing. Because if you have a character who's annoying, and for example, if you have like some type of backstory that kind of, I guess, not justifies their actions, but some backstory that gives more context to their characters, it's acceptable. Like, yeah, you're still gonna be annoyed when they talk, but you're at least gonna understand. Maybe I forgot, but I don't recall ever getting some type of backstory or something else about these two elders. Like, ever since Naruto started, they're always there complaining. And their characters were just written that way. They're just there to make everything harder, and they complain, basically. So, yeah, now, obviously, Naruto was very, I guess, not nervous, but, you could see that he was sweating in this episode when he was talking to them, because the decision that he made is obviously controversial, definitely, actually. And I really, really enjoyed that segment of the episode. It was very mature. You have Tsunade. Like, we remember earlier during this arc, she smashed the wall. I remember the wall didn't break, but she was definitely angry at Naruto. And then she kind of made a transition from that to this. She's like, okay, let's pretty much listen to Naruto, and it really, really fits her character. Kakashi, I thought he was the MVP of this episode. Everybody's arguing, and at one point he's like, I agree with all of you. But all jokes aside, I really, really enjoyed Kakashi in this episode as well. He was there to calm the situation. He was like, okay, let's not question Naruto's decisions. Let's try to solve the problem. Obviously, I'm not quoting the exact words. And again, it really, really fits Kakashi's character. And I feel like the Boruto series in general, it doesn't use the old characters too much. That's one of the biggest misconceptions that some people made up. But when it uses them, it really fits their characters from Naruto/Naruto Shippuden, which shows that the writers aren't lazy at all, and they care about these characters. Actually, they care about how we feel, because I'm pretty sure that every time we see these characters that we grew up with, we feel some type of nostalgia, and especially if they're written well, if their lines are written well in the episode, I feel like we all enjoy it, right? So yeah. Now I quickly want to mention Konohamaru for a second. In my opinion, Konohamaru's character isn't too fucking great. I don't know how to put it like differently. The point I'm trying to make is that Konohamaru throughout the Boruto series, okay, he's the sensei of, Team 7 basically, and he's a chill character, and obviously, we all remember him from Naruto, so all of us have some type of, like, we're connected, I guess, to this character, but like nothing too deep about him, right? I'm not saying that every character should be super deep, but he's just there in the Boruto series. Excuse me. He goes on missions with Team 7, and that's basically it. We don't get much of Konohamaru, and to see him actually in a different way, struggling mentally, was really, really enjoyable, because you can clearly see that Konohamaru acknowledges the fact that he shouldn't be angry at Mitsuki, because Mitsuki has nothing to do with the fact that Orochimaru killed Hiruzen, but something still hurts him. And despite that, he wanted to go to look for Team 7, but then again, he couldn't completely neglect that quote-unquote anger towards Mitsuki, even though it's not really anger towards Mitsuki, but just like some type of anger that you simply cannot lose. Or you can lose it, but a lot of time needs to pass. And, it looks like Konohamaru didn't forgive Orochimaru, which is completely understandable. And, now that he knows that Orochimaru is Mitsuki's parent, every time he sees Mitsuki, he's going to be reminded of Orochimaru, and he's going to be reminded of the fact that Orochimaru killed his grandpa. Maybe not every time, but you get the point. So you have this mental conflict inside of Konohamaru, which I thought was really enjoyable. And you see Naruto telling him, if you knew about Mitsuki before, would anything change? He's basically indirectly questioning Konohamaru's morals. And this episode was very mature in many ways because of that part, and also the part with the previous Kage, Tsunade, Kakashi, and then Naruto, and some of the lines said later on by Log and Orochimaru, the metaphors with sun, moon. I mentioned that multiple times in the past. I'm not gonna go over it again, but this episode was very, very mature, and the soundtrack actually really, really enhanced the maturity of this episode, I feel. And now that I mentioned soundtrack, let me just tell you something. I thought that the art in this episode was 10 times better than the art in episode 72. But going back to Konohamaru, my point is, it's really satisfying seeing Konohamaru not being this, generic character, so to say. And let me mention the action in this episode obviously wasn't the main focus. There was a little bit of action, and I thought it was done really, really well. Just some random smart shinobi shit, right? Boruto and Sarada have this great tactic. It nearly fails, but then Karin helps Sarada. Boruto manages to get into the place where Orochimaru is. And, as I said, it's like, I didn't say it, but anyway, it's very ninja-like, and, it's, just reminds me of Naruto Part 1 a lot. And I really, really enjoyed it. And I kind of felt bad for Yamato and those Jonins, I'm not gonna lie. But anyway, Boruto gets into Orochimaru's place. I don't know how to call it. The laboratory thing where, I don't know. Doesn't really matter. But he sees Mitsuki's. And this really reminded me of one scene where, I can't spoil it because it's related to the manga. But I think this happened in Boruto chapter 26. If you read the manga, you probably know what I'm talking about. But this scene really reminded me of something from chapter 26. When Boruto was looking at those Mitsukis in the laboratory and all these kids, quote unquote, because they looked like kids. And yeah, that's really it's like very, very dark, and kind of disturbing. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, you saw Boruto's reaction, and then he meets Orochimaru. And Boruto, naturally, we all know how his personality is. He gets really, really, triggered at Orochimaru's attitude and how he shows pretty much no love for Mitsuki. Now, throughout the Boruto series, or like throughout my reviews, whenever I mention Orochimaru, in most cases, I mention how I think that he genuinely loves Mitsuki, because we all know that, Orochimaru's parents died when he was young, and this really, really kind of pushed his life into a different direction. I'm not trying to justify everything he did. I'm just trying to make a point. And because of that, I thought to myself, okay, he really, really loves his child, which he kind of implied multiple times throughout the series. So there are two scenarios. One scenario, he just didn't want to show it in front of Boruto. Second scenario, he genuinely doesn't love him and he doesn't care at all because he has all these replacements. But I don't think that's the case. I think, well, the first case might be incorrect. It might be that he's not aware of it, because when people lose their loved ones early on in life, I mean, I haven't experienced this. I still haven't experienced any death, I guess. I mean, I've heard of some people that I knew of, some people that I heard of, they died. But as I said, I never came into contact with death. But I do know for a fact that people get damaged when, especially kids, when their loved ones die. And if you think about it, like Orochimaru was, I don't know how old he was, but he was a kid and his parents died, right? So maybe he's not even aware of the fact that he would actually be very, very hurt if Mitsuki dies or something like that. I don't know. It's really, that's the thing about Orochimaru. His character is so mysterious. It can go either way many times, and that's why I really, really enjoy his character. I always enjoyed his character, and especially now in Boruto. I feel like he's written really, really well. So yeah. Now, I quickly want to mention something that this episode teaches us, and it's basically that, unfortunately, many people realize how important some other people were to them when they lose them. Now, I'm not saying that Boruto and Sarada never cared for Mitsuki, because that would be bullcrap, because it's simply factually incorrect. Obviously, they do care for Mitsuki, but they never really talked to him about some of the private things that are going on in his life, maybe because he was weird sometimes or whatever. They're kids, so it's justified. And now that Mitsuki's gone, all of a sudden they're struggling a lot, especially Boruto, because obviously, let's not lie to ourselves, Boruto and Mitsuki are closer than, Mitsuki's closer with Boruto than he is with Sarada. That's simply a fact, okay? You just can't deny that. With that said, Sarada is still damaged, but, damaged. She's still hurt emotionally, but not as much as Boruto, because of what I said previously. And that's a good lesson, because it's actually true. It applies to a lot of people in the real world, and it's a real thing, right? It exists every day, everywhere, in every country. So, yeah, I just wanted to mention that. And, Boruto and Sarada kind of discussing about it, having an argument, a very mature argument, which furthermore shows how mature this episode was. I know I'm using that word too many times. Yeah, all of that was just done and, delivered so well in this episode. And now that I mentioned Boruto and Sarada, I just want to, mention the ending scene, because it's like, okay, Team Moegi is there, and we have Boruto and Sarada. They're gonna fight. Great cliffhanger to end the episode. I'm not gonna say anything too deep about that, because I'll analyze it a lot next week, because I really, really want to get into the Orochimaru stuff that I already mentioned. When it comes to Boruto and Sarada, their interactions between those two characters are, I would say, probably my favorite interactions in all of Boruto, most likely, and I've been saying this multiple times. I still feel like by the end of the series they're gonna end up together in a romantic relationship. If not, they're gonna be best friends. It's either gonna be one of those two, relationship or best friends. That's how I see it. They're still kids, so they're friends. But I just think that some of these interactions are so satisfying, especially when Sarada fist bumped Boruto on his chest. When she said we should believe in Mitsuki, or we believe in our friends, or something like that. Again, I never really quote the exact sentences that these characters say, because I'm not watching the episode and studying it, word by word. So yeah, now that I mentioned Boruto and Sarada, stuff like that, Boruto's reaction to all of those experiments, to Orochimaru. By the way, I loved it when when Orochimaru compared Boruto to Naruto. Funny fact is that when Boruto was saying how he wants to see Mitsuki one more time, stuff like that, I said to myself, like, I've been having this vibe throughout the arc, but at that point specifically, I was like, yeah, this really, really reminds me of Naruto and Sasuke. And then Orochimaru says it 1 second after I thought about it. So yeah, now let's talk about fucking Orochimaru. I think this was mentioned earlier in the Boruto series, but it was blatantly said by Orochimaru himself. I want to discover all the secrets of this world, or something like that. Furthermore, he mentioned that there's a curse mark inside of Mitsuki, and if somebody finds out about the full truth behind Mitsuki, Mitsuki will self-destruct. And a lot of people kind of mention this here and there. And I never said that it's incorrect or anything, but now I believe in it more. There could be some Otsutsuki related shit in Mitsuki. Don't ask me how, but I'm starting to believe in this more and more. Okay, he is a synthetic human. He has this weird sage mode which he acquired because of Orochimaru's experiments and all that. All that is great. But there's even more to it, and that's something is so huge that like Orochimaru doesn't want anybody to know about it. Or even if some people discover it, basically Mitsuki's gonna self-destruct. And I'm not gonna say too much. I want to save some things for the video that I'll do about Orochimaru. But it's like, what the hell is going on with Mitsuki? I mean, you go to Google Images and search Mitsuki and Toneri similarities, and you'll be surprised. I don't know, guys. I don't know what's going on here. Orochimaru is definitely planning something. I wonder if Mitsuki is truly gonna die, because like I'm 100% sure that we are gonna get to see the full truth, like 100%. Like if we don't find out the truth by the end of the Boruto series, I don't know. I'm fucking deleting my channel, right? I'm 100% sure that we're getting it. I'm just wondering, is Mitsuki gonna die? Is the third main character of the series gonna die? I don't know. We'll see. Do the writers have the balls to do something like that? How would this affect Boruto? I genuinely don't know, and I'm just really excited for the future of this series and, episodes like this. Even Suigetsu and Karin, even though they were in the episode for a short period, I thought their lines were delivered really well. Episodes like this, it really gets you hyped for the future of the series, because like even this episode is fire, obviously 10 out of 10. But then when you think about it, so many things are going to happen in the future. There are so many mysteries, so many unanswered questions, and it's just going to get more and more interesting. Anyway, guys, as I said, 10 out of 10. Like, I gave a couple of 10 out of 10s recently, but like this arc is fucking fire so far. Really looking forward to the next episode and to that Boruto and Sarada versus Team Oegi fight. I feel like that's going to be very interesting. But anyway, if you're new to this channel and if you're into the Boruto series, consider subscribing. Let me know what you think about this episode in the comment section of this video. Twitter and Discord links are in the description. Also, link to my second channel is in the description. That was your boy Hokage, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.